Hello everybody, this is CJ Wiley with more adventures on the road. My high school days were a little unusual because of going on the road playing pool. I remember when I saw that there was a chance to play in the National Highschool Championships, but in order to do so I had to qualify in Kansas City and then Rockford, Illinois. So the first tournament I had to qualify at was at Raytown Recreation. That's Raytown, Missouri. It's a suburb of Kansas City. Don Brink was the owner, and he was a three-cushion billiard champion, really good player. Steve Hassel was one of the best players there. And of course, Benny Conway, Benny without a penny, was the best player as far as the cash. He played Omaha John several times on a bar table, and they played even. One time, Benny ran 10 racks in a row on John, and John still grinded him back and ended up winning that set, or that session. So I made plans to go to Raytown and drove there. Kansas City was about 2.5 hour drive from where I grew up in Green City, Missouri. Green City only had 629 people, no stoplights, so Kansas City was like a huge megalopolis compared to Green City. So I drove to Raytown Recreation, went in to sign up for the tournament, and at that time I was already beginning to be well known. I had reached the finals of the Missouri State Championships when I was 17, which was the previous year, and was getting more of an education on the road, hustling pool and gambling and being around a lot of older, wiser men than I was in school. School was getting kind of boring, and looking back, there's just a lot of things that we had to memorize that really never comes up in life. But what I was learning on the road did come up and still comes up in life. So I went to apply for the tournament, and the person that was running the tournament said that they had to check with somebody, and they came back and told me that I didn't have to play in the tournament. They had 2 spots available for the Nationals in Chicago. Well, the regionals were first, so they had 2 spots available, and they told me that they were just going to give me one of them and play the tournament for the other spot. I still don't really understand why the other kids didn't want to play with me. That was kind of odd, but that's what happened. So then the next tournament that I had to go to was in Rockford, Illinois. Now that was a 5-hour drive from where I grew up in Green City, Missouri. It's over, pretty close to Chicago. So I called them to ask them the details about the tournament. And when they found out who I was, they went and had a conversation with someone, came back, and on the phone told me that I didn't need to come, that they had 2 spots they were giving up, and they were just going to give me one and play the tournament for the other spot. So I qualified for the state and then regional without ever playing a match, which still seems unusual, I would think. And that's the way it happened. So now the Nationals was in Chicago, and it was in the I think it was Arlington Heights. It was in a big hotel ballroom, and there was the United States Pro Championships was going on at the same time, because I remember Mike Massey ended up winning that. So, I'm just playing against these other high school kids and was used to playing against adults most of the time. So I played in the professional mini tournament and actually ended up playing Earl Strickland to see who got in the finals of that mini tournament, and Earl beat me. I was 18, I think Earl was 21. Earl was really making a name for himself. I think he might have got second in that tournament, I'm not sure. But that's the first time I ever played Earl Strickland, was at that National Highschool Championship. And he was in the pro tournament, and like I said, Mike Massey won the tournament. As a matter of fact, Mike Massey did his trick shot exhibition, which, if you haven't seen that, it's an incredible show. And he used to mix a lot of magic in and do card tricks and coin tricks and different types of things that were, very entertaining. So he showed me a deal where it's a trick where you put like a dime or a nickel in the palm of your hand, and you have somebody hold it there in the palm of their hand. You tell them you're going to take the coin before they can close their hand. What they don't know is you have another coin palmed. So let's say they have a nickel in their hand and you palm a dime. When you have them hold their hand out, and when you go down to get it, you switch coins. And it just automatically happens. When you have that in your palm, when you hit their hand, it makes the one in your hand go in their hand, and the one that in their hand pops up into yours. So it's just like immediately switches those coins. So I remember going back to high school, and I was in this classroom with this teacher that really wasn't too sharp, I didn't think. And I used to like to mess with her. Several of us did. So I went up in front of the class and did that trick with her. I had her hold her hand out. I think I had her hold a penny, and I had a dime palmed in my hand, and I had her hold her hand out. I went, she closed her hand. Now they still feel the coin in their hand. So I told her, I said, I got it. And she says, no, you didn't. I got it. I said, no, I got your coin. And she said, no, I got it. And she opened up her hand, and she saw that penny had switched to a dime, and it was priceless. The look on her face. It literally paralyzed her for about 5 seconds. And her jaw dropped, and she got kind of upset, told me to go back to my seat. That was pretty funny. So, being in high school and around all these hustlers and top-notch, people like Mike Massey, made it interesting, let's just say. It was different. I was getting a whole different education and almost had like 2 lives compared to the other high school kids. So back to the championships in Chicago, the National Highschool Championships, I played several matches in a row, and I think we were racing to 5, and I was winning like 5-0, 5-0, 5-0, 5-1. I think when I got in the finals, I had only lost like 1 game or maybe 2 games the whole tournament. And then the one in the finals, I think, actually beat me 1 set, and then I beat him 2. So I think we played 2 out of 3 sets. But the finals, adds a lot of pressure if you're not used to it, and I think the pressure kind of bothered me, but I got through it pretty quick. Another person that was in that high school championship was Tony Ellen, who was one of the greatest players. You guys may have seen him in a match we played at the Sands Regency Classic in Reno, where he beat me in the finals. And he was breaking the balls as well as anybody I've ever seen in my life. So I didn't really go into that match with a lot of confidence, because I just could see that I probably wasn't going to get too many chances. So that ended up being the case. So I won the National High School Championships, and went back to my little town of Green City, the National High School Champion, and I don't really think they gave me too many accolades for that. Pool was still looked down on, kind of as a seedy underground game or sport. But I got to see at that National High School Championship what it was really like to play in front of a lot of people and be under that kind of pressure. And I got to see all the champion players like Earl Strickland and Mike Massey and Steve Miserak and Alan Hopkins and Mike Sigel. And there was There was an all-star lineup at that tournament. So anyway, that's really how I started to develop in high school, just by going on the road and learning from, they were almost like father figures. As a matter of fact, my dad went with me to that National Highschool Championship, and he'd never really seen me play pool. I mean, I played a little bit with him at home. He never was very good. He did teach me how to play tennis, which I became a high-level tennis player as well, and actually beat nationally ranked players. And we didn't even have a tennis court in Green City where I came from. I would hit balls against the wall at school for like hours at a time, and then my dad actually built me a dirt tennis court outside. We had about 4 acres, and he built me a dirt tennis court, just bulldozed an area and built a big fence. He owned a lumber yard, so he had the stuff to build a fence around it, like a backdrop. And then I had a ball machine. It was a Prince ball machine that threw out the balls at about, 30 or 40 miles an hour. You could adjust the speed, but then you could just play by yourself. And I would stay out there and play like 5 or 6 hours a day, hit serves by myself, practice hitting balls, off that machine, down the line, cross court, backhand, and just trained. Just gave me something to do. When you're from a small town, you got to keep yourself entertained, and most of my entertainment was done by myself, and that's why I learned how to play the piano as well as I did. My mother wanted me to be a concert pianist. I ended up being a concert pool player. I told somebody, at least I got the P right. But a lot of people, if I tell them, they don't even believe that I was, like a classical piano player. I played in contests. I played a Chopin piece in a contest that I ended up getting a 1, which was the best score. But the nerves that I had before that recital was every bit as much as I've ever felt playing pool. And when your hands are sweating and you're getting ready to play the piano, it's even worse than trying to play pool with your hands sweating. So anyway, that's how I won the National High School Championship. And then I've told you the stories. When I came back, I ended up getting kicked off the basketball team for going over to see Steve Mizrak give a pool exhibition. So I knew pool was going to be a big part of my future. And my number one goal was to be the number 1 ranked player in the world. And I also always had wanted to play on ESPN. So my first ESPN match was with Earl Strickland, ironically, in above LA at the Burbank Hilton. So if you like my stories, you want to learn more about my systems, techniques, and fundamentals I use to become one of the top pool players, and play with, I learned a lot from especially guys like Earl Strickland and Buddy Hall. Buddy Hall taught me a lot. He probably had the best cue ball control of anybody I've ever seen, and still to this day. So anyway, until next time, this is CJ. Hope to talk with you soon.